quick. I know it takes like a minute
Mm-hmm.
before it actually comes on, so that's why I start it up a little bit.
Just to make sure it's up and running by 8.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that come on there to look, you're not there, and, well,
That's it. Something's going on. They're not going to be on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it should be on. That one gets up.
Yep.
It's up and running.
Just got a notification on it. Connecting with all things.
Make sure this thing is off so I don't have the sound coming in the middle of it. Okay. We're up and running. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. And it's Friday evening here in the great state of Ohio. I will bring this up and take a look just to make sure.
I'm having trouble picking up the signal, but it's not unusual.
Got that. Turning all the way down. So it's good to be back this evening. And Brother Allen, it's his season of work, so he can't be with us tonight. And of course, you know, I had somebody ask me, said, is it just you and Alan and Daniel? I said, no. I said, there's me and Alan and Daniel, of course, Patty and Connie, Aubrey, and then you have Joe, my son and his family, Daryl Mell and his family, Sister Pam Bell, who comes, she travels about 60 miles, long distance. Then there is Brother Rick Hall and his family. There's Brother Stephen Hall and his family. There are, if you wanted to get us all together, there would be 30, 40 of us right here in the area for this, for what's happening. And but getting us all together is a big. It's a big. Right now you can't, but even when you can, it's hard to do because of the way everyone works. We got truck drivers, we've got factory managers, we've got truant officers and drive-in managers, and you can just keep going on and on of all the things that they're doing. So we are here, and it doesn't matter to me. If I were sitting here by myself, I would still enjoy it.
Yep.
And the discussions and things. So this evening, starting out, I wanted to read a couple of things, and then we will have some discussion on things. But kind of as a thought for this evening, we had a discussion last night on Messenger a little bit. And kind of as a thought, I would just like to call it maybe connecting to all things. I think that's probably the closest thing to what we were talking about last night, is connecting to all things. And so in our efforts here in humanity, we've come to a point to where church, if you want to call it that, buildings, sameness, all those kinds of things, we're beyond all of that now. We're at a point that's not important to us. What's important to us, I think I put something out yesterday or day before, and I remember making this statement all the way back in the 70s when I was ministering, and now I see it around a little bit everywhere. But as far as I know, for me, I was the first one that I heard it from, and it was, do not try to follow me because I may not lead. And don't try to lead me because I may not follow. But just walk beside me and be my friend. And I said something after that. I put that out, and then I said, some people don't have the good sense to understand when people are just walking together and we are actually learning off of one another, and nobody's following anybody, but everybody is enjoying everybody, and we're friends. And people's minds coming through those ages, 2,000 years worth, and in 4,000 years of prophets, 2,000 years of messengers, their minds, they've been taught, and their minds are just stuck on following somebody. You've got to follow somebody. So our whole content, I may not know how to do it at times. I may not know how to express myself at times. I've talked about everything from brainwashing to cultism, and I've tried to prove and show that we're not doing that, and that's not what we are. I've tried to talk about reflexation. I've talked about circle fellowships, that everybody can get involved. I've done everything that I can, but still it seems like the proverbial, but everybody's following you. Or if I see somebody that's having good fellowship, all of a sudden it comes up, who are you following? And I'm like, what do you mean, who am I following? I'm trying to be a friend. I'm trying to learn from everybody, from the janitor, from the male, the female, from the corporate guy, from the president of the United States, to whoever it is. I'm watching and I'm trying to learn constantly, pull in information that'll help me be a better person and lead you further. So, but people get stuck on that. They get stuck on who are you following? Where'd you get that from? Well, I'm not sure where I got it from. Let's see. I listened to Donald Wells some, and I listened to Abraham Hicks some, and I listened to Eckhart Tolle some, and I read William Branham's books, and I listen to Daniel and Alan and Connie and then people that write me constantly, and we have fellowship back and forth, me and Brother Mitta and Brother Alirio and Brother, I'm not sure where I get a lot of it from, but it ain't just me, I know that.
That's right.
It's a lot of really great things that happen. So let's learn to just walk beside each other and be friends. And when you're discussing things, I want to learn from that. And when I'm discussing things, please say to yourself, I want to learn from that. And let's learn from one another and be friends. So I got this, I wanted to read just a couple of things. I got this letter. I just loved it. We are very happy to know about you and your family. We have been 25 years in William Marion Branham's message. In 2008, I realized that rapture should be done. Boy, didn't we all start realizing it. If so, then where is the Son of David ministry? First thought, where's the next move? And then, where am I? If you don't know what's going on, if you don't know where you're going, any place as good as any, I guess. But where am I? So I was trying to find out. After 2008, after wondering for a long time, about 6 years, in 2014, I came across the message by Atori, Mita, and Joe Gomez. That would be me, Mita Edwardson, and Joe Gomez out of the Philippines, Mita out of New Zealand. I am extremely happy to find what I have been looking for. And then in 2016, I will never forget the messages of May and June, July, August, September. So my mind went back to 2016, May, June, July, August, September. I had a group of people trying to set me down and tell me I wasn't worthy to be preaching anymore. And the church and everything else was going through major change. But at the same time, here's a family on the other side of the world who was hanging on to those messages in those most trying, turmoil months, hanging on to those messages. Because of those messages, I found out who am I? And where am I? In 2020, I have tore down all the walls. Of course, it's so tough to tear down the hierarchy, but I have done it. So I am thankful to the Spirit for giving me the strength. And now I am really enjoying my life on the level playing field. So here I am. Love bless you and your family. A family in North India. I like that. Brother Hilario wrote, he said, the rapture is an area where there are so many different ideas. And I think we nailed it down with the Bible and the message and our understanding in the last month. Perfectly clear understanding now. And tying it to William Branham's message will open many of the people's eyes if they're willing to listen. I agree with him. Mm-hmm. This last couple of months, we went through several things to, in my mind, mostly to try and help the younger people who are just coming in, and they've been taught all of those things about flying away and rapture and everything else. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to help them, but in the meantime, we dug in deep enough that it had helped me too, and I'm sure that it's helped all of us. Daniel, Alan, and Sister Connie, and so many of them, different ones. Jamie Wesley, Alan Stuckless. So many of us that had a lot of input into the last few weeks, and I appreciate that. Another letter came in to me. It said, thank you for accepting my friend request. I love the message, and it has changed me completely. This has just been the last couple of days. I have a good understanding and a great experience of love through my 42 years journey. I don't have much knowledge of William Branham or the 7 church ages, and also I am silent most of the time online. But I am enjoying this great experience of love towards humanity every day. I am always busy helping people, solving problems. Most of the time, my bank account runs zero, and it does not change anything. I keep my peace and my patience. I love you. I thought, wow, that is very nice. Just saying what the message has done for them and how that they are just emptying out their life now for humanity and enjoying every minute of it. That's all I ever really wanted. I don't care how much knowledge you get out of this. That's fine. If you have more information than the majority of the people in the world, that's fine. But I remember Brother Rick Hall was telling me, he was sitting with a brother, and he was telling the brother about what we see in the message now. And he was laying it out, the different things that we were seeing. And he said the brother who had been in the message of William Branham's for years and years and years, and the brother said back to him, he said, okay, tell me what it's done for you. And Rick said it kind of knocked him backwards a little bit. It was like, I understand all these things, but what's it done for me? And I liked what Brother Hall said. He went on to tell him what all it had done for him, how it had changed his life and taken him into much more depths. He had more peace and all those things. But that's a question you want to ask yourself almost every day.
Every day.
What is this doing for me? Mm-hmm. If it's not doing anything for you except feeding your ego of information, that's not my intent. My intent is for us to have fellowship one with another. So I seen this. I can't remember who wrote it. It was on Facebook. I forgot to put a name. I do that sometimes, and you forgive me. But it was very good. So the people, you'll probably know who said it when I start reading it. But still talking about the rapture and what it's done for it and how it's waking a lot of people up. And applying the rapture in spirituality and science. Combining the two together becomes one in humanity. I love that. You know what we did. For centuries and millenniums, we split the two and we said spirituality is of the Spirit or of God, and science is of the devil, education and science and all those things. And we split them up, and we had a battle going on all the time over who was right and who was wrong, whether spirituality was right, whether science was right. Battle over the Bible, over Genesis and over Revelations, and just on and on and on. And said this is applying the rapture. And I really like that. Applying the rapture in spirituality and science is combining the two together to become one in humanity. That's a rapture within itself. When we caught this understanding, we were raptured. Raptured so high. And when I read that, I liked it. And then he goes on, whoever it was, he or she, it says spirituality. And he puts dash. So here's what spirituality means. Rapture is the understanding personally revealed to you. Brother Branham made that statement in the Rapture book. The rapture is a personal revelation. Period. You catch it and you understand it, and it raises you up. You don't fly away somewhere. And then he writes down science. He's got a dash. So spirituality is the rapture, an understanding coming personally to you. Science is rapture is our self-discoveries from within. You get it from reading the books, fellowship to a person that you relate to, every piece of information you get, and every move that you make. That is science pulling in the rapture. So it's all your discoveries, it's all the books, the information that you read, and that's all science, and it's flooding into you. But the spirituality is when that rapture becomes a personal revelation to you. You're not reading after Donald Walsh or Eckhart Tolle or whoever it might be. You're not reading after those guys, William Branham or whoever, but you have a personal revelation revealed to you, and there are a lot of things these men say that match up with my personal revelation. Mm-hmm. I'm not going out there and hunting for a personal revelation. And so then he had spirituality, science, and then humanity. Humanity, dash. Rapture is the practical application in our lives. From the time we become a human, by natural birth, we grow and learn and feel from it. Our emotion, everything that you experience, every sickness and glorification that you go through, you are rapturing all the time. I just love that. There is the cycle of rapture in a person. Spirituality, a personal revelation. Science, all the discoveries and all the books and everything that you read and pull in, movies and everything else, you're pulling all that information in. And then in humanity, you put it to practical application. You grow, you learn, you feel, you gain emotion. Everything that you experience, your sickness, your glorifications, your blessings, your successes, your failures. You go through all this, you are rapturing all the time. There is the cycle of rapture in a person. I love that. Whoever wrote that, I'll go back and hunt it up.
They have a good understanding.
That's what I like about it. What I like about it is when I can hear somebody that knows what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. If I hear somebody that talks after a Tory, or talks after Don Parnell, or talks after Eckhart, or talks after William, or any of these men, whoever they might be, or women, Abraham Hicks, all that they talk, if you're just talking after them, you can tell it in a minute. Mm-hmm. But man, when somebody expresses their feeling with their own emotion, their own language, and their own understanding, I just love that. Mm-hmm. I love it. Brother Stephen Adabom, he said, where you're standing determines what you see. Where you're standing determines what you see. Find your place in the throne room of love and understand who you are for this day. I understand what he's saying. If I'd done this in the Philippines, I believe I was at Joe Gomez assembly, and I took 4 of the young people and I said, come up here, and I stood them all 4 up back to back, 4 back to back, and I said, okay, I'm going to walk around to each one of you, and I want you to just look straight forward. I don't want you to tell me what you see. Don't look to the left or the right, just look straight forward. Someone said, I see the blackboard, I see the pulpit, I see the drums. I see, another one said, I see the front door. I said, wait a minute. You're in the same room. You're in here all together. And you see drums and a blackboard, but they see the front door and the pew or the chairs. Something's wrong here. You guys can't do this. You can't see differently being in the same room. And so I got them into a argument style about what was in that room based on what they could see. So depending on the point, the vantage point of where you're standing, everything you're telling could be exactly the truth, but exactly wrong to the next person. Exactly false to the next person. They say, I'm standing here in the same room and I don't see that. But when you start giving people freedom, I said, now just take a look around. Just take a look around. And you give them freedom to look around and pull in all the information, not just some of it, but pull it all in. You can all say, everything we said was the truth, because now I got the freedom to pull it all in, take a good look at it, and that's what's going on, or that's what's here. Right. So I thought that was a good statement. From the vantage point of Luther's day, now, I would have to say today Luther's message wouldn't take you forward. Wesley's message wouldn't take you forward. And they were 5th and 6th church age messengers. What you're going to get from them wouldn't take you forward in the understanding. But in the vantage point of where they were at, what they said was exactly the truth for that day. So we need to start realizing when somebody is saying something or describing something or bringing something to you, it's from their vantage point. It's from their experiences. It's from what they see. If they're trying to explain to you anything else, they're not going to get it across to you. But when I hear somebody doing that, I want to listen. I want to pay attention. in the corporation, I used to teach on blind spots, and I said every one of us have a blind spot, and so I'm going to ask this group to write down all the blind spots of this guy, this manager, and how he manages, and what is it that he don't see about himself, but everybody else in the plant says it about him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we got into some things. Some of those managers said, "I do not act that way," and they said, "Oh yes, you do. You just think you don't." Well, that's what it is. Looking for all of those places, and then, on the other hand, having the heart and the courage that when you hear people discussing your blind spots, discussing the things that you don't see, be still. Listen. As long as you're talking, you can never learn anything, because what you're talking about is what you already know. If you'll be quiet and listen, you'll learn more. So that's kind of what I seen with Stephen's statement, and I really liked it. So here we are this evening. Joe Gomez and his assembly was going to have Sunday. They were going to have a online little fellowship between them, and so they had all kinds of trouble with the signal, and they couldn't do it. And so Pastor Joe, he put out his notes, and I'm sitting in there, and I'm on my computer, and I'm going on my Word, and I've put up the top for 5/10, 2020. I want to have conversation about the glory of the Lord, and that would be for this Sunday. So then I see his notes, and his notes come out, and it said he wanted to talk online, but it couldn't because of the signal, on the greater glory. I thought, well, look at this. The Spirit of the Lord has covered the whole earth as the waters covers the sea. It's moving so much. So I took his notes and wrote them down, and I just wanted to read through them in getting ready for Sunday and putting some things in your head, and then we can discuss it also. But the question was asked Haggai, who among you remains, who saw this temple, he's got in caps, this temple, in its former glory? Now, how do you see it now? Then he said, the former temple is nothing in comparison of what remains now. Then he said, the glory of the latter house, or this house, will be greater than the former. And I had talked about that, and about how Haggai asked that question, and I said to myself, why? I ask everyone, why did Haggai ask that Haggai? Why did he ask that question? Because he wanted to see who was functioning in the now and who was functioning with the past in mind. Anybody that was functioning with the past in mind and say, oh, the Temple of Solomon, so much more glorious. A pillar of fire came down and it filled the temple, and the priest couldn't even minister. And the cherubims, such a glory, way beyond anything we got today. I mean, we've been 70 years in bondage, and we got ourselves all mixed up and entangled here. And let's keep going, Haggai. We love you and everything, but don't be thinking that the glory of this day is greater than that one, Haggai. When he got that kind of response, he'd know that person wasn't behind the movement of now.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got the response, this is more glorious, this is exciting, I want in this, I want in this move, I want to be a part of this thing. What was in the past is in the past, and it's done and over, and there's no glory left in it. We can't do that anymore. This is what we're doing now. And he'd get a response like that. Well, hey, here's somebody that's behind this movement, and I can work with them, I can use them, I can fellowship with them, they can help me. So that's why the question was asked. And Joe Gomez said the question was about this temple, this body or this house, not another temple. Notice, the temple was to be rebuilt twice. It was built in Solomon's day. It was to be rebuilt, same temple, in the days after they come out of Babylon. And then there's supposed to be a third building of the temple, which we all know who that was. It was in Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ comes back again after the church ages, and here is the temple among us today. And which one do you see more glorious through all of these temples? But it's the same temple. This is what Pastor Joe is saying. The question was about this temple, this body, or this house, not another temple. This same temple changed or transformed to a greater glory. And the former was nothing in comparison. William said, a new creation in the same old temple. I used that quote not too long ago, and I got a lot of response of people saying, no, it's a brand new unit. So I had to take them back to their prophet's message in the future home, where he said, it's a new creation in the same old temple. It is a brand new unit, but the same temple rebuilt. The same body all the time. You've never left the body that you are in now. When you were theophany, you had the elements in you. Humanity was in you. It was an attribute in you that you were going to bring out. Then, when you moved into spoken word, you brought humanity out, and this is still the same body. Just because it's a different mix, it's the same elements, it's the same temple, it's eternal, it'll always be this temple, and this mix may change to something else, but it will always be the same temple, the same elements, just a mixture is different. Whether you're in the theophany, the pillar of fire, the spoken word, or humanity. Whatever you're in, as you traveled through there, it was the same temple all the way through, the same exact person. So he says, William said, a new creation in the same old temple. So who among us passed from an old glory to a greater glory that now remains? Who among you have passed from an older glory into a greater glory? Stop thinking that it's a lesser glory. We are glorified, and we are in a greater glory than we were in the church ages, or in the body of Jesus Christ, physical, or in the Old Testament, or in the spoken word civilization, or in the pillar of fire, the theophany, or in the great rainbow spirit. Come down through all those. We're in a greater glory right now. And when we move on, we'll be in a greater glory than this. Always moving in glorification. Am I crazy?
You are, so am I. I can't tell.
I can't tell. Who among us saw the change from an old church age condition, an old Third Testament condition, to a human condition in love divine? Is it not now greater than before? I think back across, I'm just going to go backwards, and I think back across the Third Testament and all the separation and the exclusiveness and the fighting back and forth and all the doctrinal things and what everybody had to live up to and the rules and regulations and traditions and everything else. But at least we did come out of those old church age things like rapture and the dead getting up out of the ground and all those kinds of things. And then I think back into that former, before the Third Testament broke open to us, I think back into that day, and then I think back into my kind of Pentecostal coming up after William Branham died and our family had nowhere to go and I was just running around in Pentecostal churches a little bit. I think back across all those and I think of the glory today. Oh my. Oh my. That's all I know to say. It's such a great glory. Tori asked, how do you see these things now? There is peace through our reconciliation of all things. Can you see how we're reconciling all things?
All things. All things.
Reconciliation is not intercession, mediation. All that stuff's before reconciliation. Reconciliation is bringing everything back to one. As long as you got a mediator, it ain't one. If you got an intercessor, it ain't one. If whatever it is, if you got a God and a devil out there, it's not one. If you, whatever they are, reconciliation is pulling all things together into one. Recognizing that nothing is excluded. Reconciliation of all things. That is what love divine does. Brings all things to one. Jesus said, greater works shall you do. John spoke of the increase and the decrease. William said the same thing. This is a generation going beyond or further than me. The greater glory is your present moment in time. I like that. The greater glory is your present moment in time. The rapture is a moment in time. Whatever you are moving through at the moment is the greatest glory. When we understand that, it doesn't matter if you are in a low frequency, in a high frequency. It doesn't matter if you are in the tree of knowledge or the tree of life. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter at all if you're a baby, if you're a child, if you're an adolescent, if you're an adult, if you're in a career where you're washing dishes or you're running a corporation, everything, it doesn't matter. It is just what matters is that we are moving through, and every place that we are at in the moment is greater glory. You're gaining something that you never had before. Experience, feeling, emotion. You get it, and you never had it before. It's a greater glory. You add, and you add, and you add. This is the age of Joseph. Do you know what the name Joseph means? Add to. You just keep adding and adding and adding and adding and adding, and you keep on moving into greater and greater and greater glory. The greater is not something big. I like that so much. If I am going through a sickness, it's not something big, that's for sure. But I'm gaining greater glory. Going through that sickness. If I get promoted from a supervisor to a manager, I just moved into a greater glory in my personal life and my understanding. If I move from one geographical area to another, I'm going to have to acclimate myself into everything that's going on in that geographical area, whether it's acclimating to languages, careers, things that are happening, cultures. You're gaining all the time. We are always moving, and we are always in the greater glory. The second that move's made, you have moved into a greater glory. You've gone into a glorification. Don't look for something big. Take what you have and move on with it. It's like a grain of mustard seed. A man takes and sows in his field. It's the least of all seeds, but when it is grown, it transforms to the greatest among herbs, and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in your branches. We evolve in our vast field of information. Science does not make the ultimate decisions for us. I like that. We have access to a vast field of information. Science, spirituality, careers, discoveries, sicknesses. We have access to all of these things, glories and sorrows and hurts and pain and families, and we have access to everything, and we're constantly pulling in this information. We have access to a vast field of information, yet we make our decisions from our heart. Your heart is your source of wisdom. Our decisions are guided by our desire, which vibrates throughout, and brings things into manifestation. Everything rests on our branches, our world, transforming us to a greater glory. So from the moment, even before the moment you take a breath here, but we're talking about the here and now. From the moment you dropped out of your mother's womb to the moment you step out of this mix and transcend into the next mix, all of that time, everything you do, from the mosquito that's biting you, to the snake that chased you, to just the simplest little things. It doesn't take big things to go into greater glory. It just takes things that happen every day around you that adds to your information, adds to your experiences, adds to your emotion. If it adds to you, you stepped into the Joseph ministry, you're moving into a greater glory. I loved his thought. Then brother, I can't pronounce his name, but his initials are GAG. The brother, he wrote, he said, now the authority is in the people, and it's in the heart of the people, as we know now that we are all that one great spirit. The power is now that collective force moving as one in our unique individual forms. All power laid down to that oneness. I like that. We've come to a position where all power is laid down to oneness. I may have unique things about me as an individual. I may have gifts, I may have talents, I may have all these things about me that I would say to myself, you know, my intelligence, my gift, the way the Spirit deals with me, the way my spirit progresses and moves rapidly, or whatever you want to call it, I'm special. I stopped thinking of myself that way a long time ago. And I look at what I have as for the collective body. And I've opened up a river, a flow, whatever you want to call it, that when I receive, I give. Mm-hmm. And it just keeps flowing. Whatever it is, whether it's materials or spiritual things or ideas or information or science or spirituality, as I receive, freely I give. And I opened that up in my life, and I've laid down my power to the collective oneness. It's yours. Take it, use it for everything that you can, grow yourself, understand yourself. Don't look like me, don't act like me, don't walk like me, don't talk like me. Be yourself and use what you can in your growth. A greater oneness has the power has been laid down to it. Love is the blood of Christ that runs through the veins of our new form, body immortal. It's the Holy Ghost. It's the Holy Spirit. It's the holy thing. We have become the holy thing, and we have become life. Love is life. Live it and like it. So true. So we've done all these things. We've handed over everything to the collective body. We've laid ourselves, our powers, our individual crowns. You know, the 4 and 20 elders, when they came up to the Son of Man ministry, the Son of David, when we were caught into the cloud, that's what was going on. The crowning was happening. And the 4 and 20 elders and all of the saints, you read, we took our crowns off and laid it down to the Son of David. And he in turn, when all of that glory was given to him, he took it, and just like Paul said in Corinthians 15, he subjected himself to the collective body, the all in all, and he gave us back all of this glory and all of this movement. The all in all, the love divine, is happening all around us now. And all the crowns were laid down. The Old Testament 12 patriarchs, the New Testament 12 patriarchs, and all the saints that were in that cloud, everything was laid down. Sonship was finished. We all moved back to the Father. So it's a great time. It's a great understanding. I know that it's more than some people can bear in their minds. But it's happening all around us.
Everything that we pour into the Spirit collectively is not for the Spirit to retain. It doesn't hold on to it. It turns around and pours it back out into all the body everywhere else in different ways. All that energy, all the wisdom, all the understanding that we gain feeds into the collective spirit. It's
right.
One spirit, one relationship. It pours into that. It doesn't hold on to it.
Amen.
I want to make that very clear. It doesn't hold on to it like a lot of governments hold on to what the people pour into it. It takes every single bit of that and puts it back out into the people in many different ways. What I pour into it, it takes that and converts that energy into something that somebody else needs somewhere else and gives it to them.
That's right.
It's not the very same thing. It's the same energy converted into what they need. That's how the collective spirit works. We're not gaining from the spirit. We're gaining from our experience. And then we take that and we pour it back into the spirit collectively, and then it converts it back out to all those others. Now, how does it do that? Very simply, it takes that energy and creates circumstances around them that they can learn and gain and pour back into the spirit themselves. If you see, it's one relationship. It's not many relationships. It's one relationship that is intertwined, ever flowing, continuously like a spiral.
Yes. When we recognize that, it's very easy to turn loose of your individuality.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, know what a strong person you are individually.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking and having some discussion about the cloud and the things that are going on today. And Brother Daniel made the statement. He said, when we say that we are all there in the cloud, I think what it was, I'd put out a song, and I said, is this Spanish? And it was the song, when the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. And I said, it sounds like Spanish to me, but I can't tell for sure. And I sent it to Sister Connie, and of course she dug into it and said, no, it's not Spanish. Looks like it's Russian. But it was the song When the Roll Is Called Up Yonder. And I said, I always loved that song, but I have changed the words a little bit. And said, when the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, I was there. And so, because I said the roll was called up yonder in the cloud, and we were all there, everyone was there. And so the question came back. Daniel said, when we say that we were all there in the cloud, I'm sure there are people wondering who we mean by we. They're wondering if every person on earth who has ever been on earth was there, or was it those who believed in Jesus Christ, or was it just those from William Branham's message? I think a little clarification on this would make for a good discussion. So, we know what the cloud was. The cloud is just a dimensional porter, and what you were watching was a civilization. And that civilization is in a different vibration. It's in a different frequency. So it doesn't show up here when we see it. And we look at it from our dimension into theirs, it looks much faster. That's what the streaks were through the skies and all those kinds of things. It's faster and dimensionally breaking. But when you enter it, I entered there, William Branham's entered there. When you enter it, it's people. Mm-hmm. They're walking around, they're talking, they're enjoying, there's trees, there's grass, there's mountains, it's a beautiful place. But looking at it, 30 miles high, 27 miles across, and just looking maybe through a cloud at it, it's hard to see those things. So, he said, who all was there? And so I wrote back and I said, no one was left behind. William Branham said Moses was there, and Elijah was there. The sages were all there. And then he says, we all were there. Just like Paul said, we will all be changed in Corinthians. Just like he said in Ephesians, we will all be caught up together. One man brought life to us all. We were all there. I hope that you understand that. And when we're talking about moving into that civilization or breaking into that realm, you're bringing a collective body together, and you're not pulling the flesh off of the earth and everything else. Like I said before, I was in the fourth grade, I think. I was sitting in Miss Copeland's class on February 28th, 1963, and I didn't leave the desk, but I was there in the cloud, because we can understand these things dimensionally. Now, if you try to understand this message or this understanding without having an understanding of the dimensions, you will get lost so fast. The dimensions are real. Mm-hmm. They are all right here by the hundreds. Dimensions that break down into everything that you could possibly think of. There are civilizations, past civilizations living right here. There are those that are future that are going to break through the veil and come here. There are those who have already come, and there are, of course, those of us who are remaining here now. We're all here together. This is the cloud. You don't have to fly 27 miles high to get in the cloud. You're in the cloud. We are walking around in it. And we are the very cloud itself. So I said, no one's left behind. We're all there. So even spoken word civilization was there, or just from the sex birth, Adam and Eve forward. All ages, even those coming from Capricorn age as well. And that's Brother Daniel asking that question. I'll let you kind of what you were thinking.
What I was thinking is, I know from what we understand what the cloud is, we are the cloud, we were all there. I know that those who haven't come yet, they're in the cloud. They're there. We don't see them now with our eyes, but they're there, the coming age. But I knew that it would come up in people's minds. How far back does it go? Does it go back just to Adam and start there? Does it go back to spoken word? How far back does it go? Because I know that would come up in people's minds. So I wanted to provoke these thoughts to get him to show everybody no one's missing.
That's right.
No one is left and disappears. No one's annihilated. Everyone that is ever in the Spirit is in the cloud right here and now. Whether you've already come and gone, whether you're here, whether you're still to come, you might be dimensionally in a different place, but we're still all connected within the cloud.
That's right. I agree. Brother Alan Stuckler said, my thought would be all were there. And I agree with that, what Brother Daniel was saying. So, Brother Daniel says, so Alan, you think even those from the spoken word civilization was there? Yes, I see all, everyone that makes up the body. Many members, they all were all there, picked up anyone who picked up a piece of earth. I agree with that. Anyone who picked up a piece of earth, or anyone who is going to pick up a piece of earth. I believe we were all there. It was the same way when sonship started in Genesis 1, 26 and 27, 28, when the voice spoke and said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. We were all there. All civilization. All of the Great Spirit, all of the theophany, all of the pillar of fire. All of us were there. And then we began to break down into humanity, or humanity was inside the theophany in attribute form. And we began to pull humanity out and bring forth the creation of humanity and manifest the attribute that we had. So we were baptized from the inside out with humanity. So now, that's the way I see it. All inclusive. If you put on this earth body, no matter when, then you were there in the cloud at that time. You were there at Genesis 1:26. You were there when Christ, the spoken word, came and that little bitty body was placed in the womb and brought out in Mary. We were all in there. Represented right there. That one little creation. And then you come over here to this time after the church ages and the cloud shows up again and we were all there. All creation. Just for thought and discussion, I wanted to say this. This is me. Just for thought and discussion. What do you think? What do you all think about this? It is the way I am leaning, and the more I think on it, I believe this is true. The theophany civilization was and is here. Always has been here. Right here. Always has been here. Then the intimate procreation world, sex birth, is here. The spoken word civilization before it was here. All of it, the earth, it's all took place in the earth. Then the intimate procreation, the sex birth is here. Always has been. Here from its beginning? What if it is cycles of us? And I lived on the earth in theophany civilization, and I lived on the earth in spoken word civilization, and then I created myself a body of earth to live in the earth as procreation. We have lived through all the civilizations on the earth. It wasn't a people before us and a people after us. It's us. And it has always been us, shape-shifting from the Great Spirit to the pillar fire, to the theophany, to the spoken word, to humanity. It's not a bunch that are going to be that lived in the theophany and a bunch that lived in this. And every time a new civilization comes about in the earth, we all live through it. To gain acclimation of all the natures of our body, the earth. The earth is the body of the Spirit. And we are partaking or moving in and out of the... You're never leaving the body that way. Everybody thinks we got to leave this body and go get another one. No, you don't. You're never leaving the body. The earth is your body, and whether you were in all the way back in the first civilization that we know of to the present civilization, you've always worn the earth. It's a part of you. A different mixture, dimensionally different, but it's a part of you all the time. Brother Allen Stuckley, he said, amazing. I had that thought for a long time. Yes, I see that. It has been us for all of eternity, and we partake in each one of these. I was reading a clip from a science magazine that they believed Adam was in a dinosaur flesh before he was in human flesh. The dinosaur always amazed me. That was Brother Alan Stuckless. And I thought, what would be so crazy about that? No matter what we wear, it's the earth. Whether I wear it as a baby, whether I wear it as a child, an adult, whether I wear it at whatever I wear this as, a Don Parnell or whatever, it's me. Whether I wear it, whether we were once, who was it? Charles Darwin. He took us all the way back to monkeys and everything else. And I just thought, what's the significance? What's he trying to say? We can wear whatever we want. And so whatever we've come through, each civilization that we set up in the earth and set up the protocol for it, we set up the genes for it, we set up the cells and the biotics and the bacteria, and we set all these things up to bring forth a certain mix of people, and then we got into it. We projected ourselves into the Great Spirit realm, the rainbow, and we projected ourselves into the pillar of fire, and we projected ourselves into the theophany and into the spoken word for generations and generations and generations, millions of years. They can prove millions of years that there has been life living right here on this earth. I believe that with all my heart, because I believe I've been in every one of those civilizations, and it's not reincarnation. You can sit there and go out and you can say, boy, I listened to Don Parnell and Daniel and they believe in reincarnation. It's not reincarnation. I never left my body. I'm in my body all the time, going through mixes, learning more and more and more about myself. I said, I know in Satan's Eden, William Branham made this statement, Brother Allen, Adam rode on the backs of those dinosaurs. That must have been a great place. He said those things were so gentle. He had to go there in vision to know what they were like. So, the earth is the body of the Lord, and the Spirit is us. We adjust the earth to display the next set of attributes. So as we move through the earth, as we acclimate to the earth, we have attributes inside us. Humanity was an attribute. And as we adjust those out and we resolve it all and we get it where we want it, and we have a good understanding of ourselves, you know what we're going to do? Because we're eternal, we got eternal amount and a limitless amount of attributes in us. When we get that one adjusted and we get it where we want it as a whole and a holistic view of it, you know what we're going to do? We're going to begin to adjust to the next thing.
Yep.
Whatever that thing is. We come through to acclimate to that way of life and to that understanding. So, we never stay the same. Yet we stay there long enough in time and in dispensations and in everything. We stay there long enough to understand every detail about it.
Yep.
To understand ourselves in every way. It's not a great big thing. In fact, it's those little bitty minute details. You ever try to read language without any colons or commas or semicolons or periods or I's dotted? Or you ever try to read language like that? You can't do it because you're missing all of the greatest points, the little bitty things, the little comma, the little colon, the little dot, the little period, you're missing all those things.
Emphasis on.
That's right. You're missing, and the greatest emphasis is in the smallest things.
Yes. Yes.
And we tried to do big things until our spirit adjusted and said, let's turn inwards.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go inside and let's go micro and take a look at what we are under that projected light.
I think we possess enough knowledge that when we set up this cycle of 12 houses, we knew that the time frame that it would take, in that time frame, every little experience, no matter how minute, would get explored. And that understanding would feed into the spirit, the rainbow spirit. All of these colors are just cycles of experience coming back into the spirit. And we knew with the knowledge we had, we're going to create 12 houses because it'll take that long to go through and experience everything, to evolve through all of this and change and experience and grow in wisdom and understanding. And knowing that when it comes to the end of that, it's not the end of us, it's the end of that cycle, and we have exhausted all possibilities there, and then we'll just transcend into something else.
Bring out another attribute.
Yes.
Yes. And Brother Jamie Wesley, he said, I believe that not only did Adam ride the dinosaurs, that humanity could actually have a better form of communication with them, with animals. I believe that with all my heart. Right now, we do our best to go by intuition, emotion, love, without having a language between you and the animal. And humanity has lost that intuition. A lot of that feeling for things around them, life forms around them, not just inordinate things, but we've lost the feeling for life form around us. And it's really a terrible situation. But I believe and I see these generations, starting with probably mine and moving forward, I see them, each one of them, as I look down through the the age line, they're getting more and more and more interested in all of those intuition and emotion and life forms and the care of it, the care of the earth, the beauty of the earth, all these things. They're getting into it more and more and more. And it's coming back because we have been through ages without it. And we came all the way through here. We've been through ages with it. And we have made a decision. We like it better with those things in our lives. So we're adjusting humanity back. Remember what I said, humanity takes care of itself. We're adjusting back to those personal interrelationships that we used to not think anything about.
We're getting reconnected to vibration. It's not language. It's vibration that connects everything. And our intelligence puts out vibration, and our intuition picks up vibration.
Yes.
We sense the vibration coming from others, and our intelligence puts it back out. It's all about vibration. It's not about language.
That's right.
Vibration is the communication to everything on the planet. Whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal,
That's right.
whether it's a human, whatever it is, it's the key core here is vibration.
Yes. I seen where Pastor Jeff Santos, he put out pictures of his plants that he has in his house. And he says, these pictures are before Sister Minna died, before she passed and went over the veil. These pictures are after. And you could see such a difference. These plants were so alive because she loved them. She took care of them. Her vibration, her atmosphere, everything, it was just beautiful. And how it went down. They didn't feel her anymore. She was, that vibration was gone. And those plants knew, everything knows your vibration. Everything around you. I thought that it was sad, but I thought, wow, look at that lesson. Look at what the Spirit is showing us. It means a lot. I believe there was a communication between us and animals. There still is somewhat. I have communication between me and my animals. I have them with the birds out here. We enjoy one another. I have them with the squirrels and chipmunks. We enjoy one. I can sit there and they come up right close to me and sing and look at me and eat. And I have them with my dogs, and I love animals. I believe there was a communication, and there still is somewhat. But I believe it was not in speaking so much as it was intuition and emotion and vibration, love and understanding one another's actions. And I believe we're coming back to that more and more and more all the time.
Because now we see it. Now we understand that that's what it is. We got away from it. We got our eyes off of that, and we lost touch with that.
That's right.
To me, that's what being civilized does, is it desensitizes you from the things that we once possessed, our connections. So you just got to draw back and resensitize yourself. And we're doing that. This understanding is opening that up to us to where now, not only do we do that, but now we talk about it,
Yes.
and it's the others are catching it and becoming, each time we do that and pass it on to a younger generation, they'll be more sensitive and more reconnected with the earth.
That's right. Yes. Brother Jamie said, yes, it's vibrational impulses. I thought that's a good word for it, a good description or caption of it. Close to ESP and telepathic patterns. I believe that we have lost a lot of those things among ourselves and with the animal world. However, we still use them in a sense, such as gifts and things like that in our lives with one another. Healing ministries, discernment, things like that. But we have lost that. So through the eons of years, we find that there isn't some people experiencing the earth in one way, as a theophany, and then other people experiencing the earth in another way, as in pillar of fire, spoken word, and another people experiencing it in another way. We find that when a dominant factor in the earth changes, the entire earth's atmosphere changes, then we all pass through it again. Great rainbow spirit, pillar of fire, theophany, spoken word, sex, birth, procreation, on and on. We, as it changes in such a manner that it changes the entire earth, here we come. And it's not reincarnation. It's not all the stuff that they try to teach you in religion. It's you. And you stay right in your body, and you gain all the experiences, and your body just changes and acclimates it to the nature of the earth, so that when it's all finished, I'm not having to talk to Johnny down here that lived in the theophany age and say, what was it like living there? I would have liked to have known exactly what. I can talk to him about the theophany. We can talk back and forth about how we felt and what we were. Or Bill that lived over in the theophany age said, I didn't get to go through the human age. How'd it feel? Daniel, tell me. No, we relate. We love because we all pass through it together. So, we only pass this way once. Absolutely the truth. As a human, we only pass this way once. And then when the earth acclimates and changes, I'll become whatever it is, and I'll pass through it again and again and again and again and again. And I will keep passing through it, but I'll pass through it once in that condition and keep moving.
Right.
Is that a
That's
decent understanding?
very, very clear. Pass through it once, we gain everything we absolutely need out of it. There's no need to pass through it again. Now we move on to something else.
Yes. So blending with the elements, perhaps, out of the four elements, we are breathing air, drinking water, eating earth, and using fire, but various things, for various things. Perhaps we were fire elements when the earth was forming. Perhaps we were water elements, and perhaps we keep taking on different mixes. I can see that. Because it was millions of years that the earth was going through its chaotic condition and forming itself.
Right.
And perhaps we all, as a civilization, as an eternal people in the eternal mind, expressed ourselves in that. And then when the chaotic condition finished and it moved to something, we moved into that.
Take that story of William Brandon where he talks about that. He saw what was going on, and then that little clinker broke off and went out and got close to the sun and stopped. Now, don't look at that as a story of something that happened somewhere. Place yourself in that. All of that is part of you. Put yourself into that and evolve through that. You'll see it differently.
Yes. I see that. All in the cloud is just us transforming, shape-shifting, translating, mutating in every way to gain feeling, emotion, and all the things from our body, the earth, as it changes. You know the feelings you have when your body, literally your piece of earth, changes, and it goes through puberty, it goes through sickness, it goes through whatever, all the different changes of your body. When you hit the 40s, and you feel that downslide and what you can do with your body, you have to start adjusting, and then you're thinking about what you used to be able to do and now what you can do, and you feel all those changes. And then when you hit another certain age, it does it again, and you feel it. You know what's going on. That's what we are doing from that cloud. But we're collectively, it's the earth, and we feel those changes in the earth, and it's time to move back through again.
Yes.
A spiral, just coming back through the same old temple, the same old body, passing back through to create a brand new creation or create more information so we can absolve it, take it in, and pull it together and make ourselves a new, more wiser person than we were before.
And look at the cycles. I'm going to just interject this real quick. Look at your 12s. Not to get back into numbers, but from 1 to 12. Look at the change you hit in your body when you hit 12. Now move to you're about 24 and watch that transition. Now it may not be exactly 24, it may be 22, it may be 26, but in that area, now there's another shift. And by the time you hit 36, here comes your life goes in that cycles. You'll find that those 12 houses are represented in cycles throughout your body the entire life.
That's right. The earth is eternal elements. The mix may change so drastically that it won't even look like what it is now. But yes, nothing else is needed to express our body here except this earth. Whatever condition it's in, whatever condition we move it to, however we put the flow of things and the way it goes, nothing else is needed to express ourselves, whatever kind of body we want it to be, to take on further understanding and glorification. Brother Alan Stuckless said the whole creation came from our body, the earth. Humanity created all things. I thought, boy, isn't that the truth? So following that line of thinking, out there could be other civilizations in other galaxies, solar systems, that are doing the same thing simultaneously. Perhaps we are even moving back and forth between these and other dimensional creations. And that is very true. You're moving, you're going through this thing over here, and before you finish up a change over here and you come into this one, because it's starting a change, and you go through it and you pass, and you're moving back and forth, and you're constantly, eternally gaining more and more and more and more information all the time.
Yep.
It makes it so much easier for me to understand eternity.
Yes.
Eternity makes it so much easier. The possibilities are endless when we start thinking of eternity as being us. Eternity is us, and we created all things. We are not living in eternity. We are eternity.
Yes.
When you can understand that, it lifts all the limitations off. So in this body, theophany was an expression in time, as was spoken word, as was sex birth, in this body, the earth. Yes. Theophany had an expression in the earth. And pillar of fire had an expression in the earth. And just read Hebrews 1. And spoken word had an expression in the earth. And the intimate procreation has an expression in the earth. All of these expressions, and we moved through every single one of them, and simultaneous. My theophany's here now, gaining these things. And I am the pillar of fire, the theophany. And I have a spoken word body. That's what Calvary and the Spirit moving us past the understanding of an old body. That's what it was about. It brought me back to an immaculate birth spoken word body. I have a theophany. I am the pillar of fire. I am a spoken word body. And I did come by sex.
And Jesus displayed all of that.
That's right.
From birth until his ascension.
Yes.
Spoken word. Look how he came. No one saw the scars, but yet before Thomas, suddenly he had scars.
He had scars.
All those things were wrapped up in one being
Right.
with the ability to transform, shapeshift through all of these different cycles right in front of everybody.
You say, but how come we're not doing it today? What do you mean, how come we're not doing it today? How did that sister who writes in and wants her mother to be prayed for, please send us the energy, and she writes back 2 days later and says, my mother's healed. We are doing it all the time.
Doing it.
The person that says, my father is this, or pray for me, or send me your energy, I'm going through this, or I'm going through that. And bang, they write a testimony that they made it through it, they're healed. We're doing it all the time. Using our theophany to travel, to send energy through the waves, using our spoken word body, sending our energy, our understanding into the cosmos to that particular person. Mm-hmm. We're doing all these things all the time.
We need to quit looking at the styles of the way these things were exemplified in the Bible, because that was for them in that time, under those circumstances. We're doing it. We have just changed the way we do it. We're still doing it.
Right.
We're just doing it in a more updated version.
And how do you see this temple?
Exactly.
Do you see the temple as before as greater? Are
Right.
you really hung into the past that bad?
Right.
That you can't move with the Spirit and catch and see the greater glory of this temple today?
Right.
The things that we are doing is so far beyond.
Walking through walls back then, you would think of somebody disappearing walking through walls. What are we doing now? Walking through walls is a veil. We just walk through that veil into something. It's the same thing. It's just updated
That's
into
right.
a different usage.
Yes. Talking about the 12 houses. So Brother Allen said, so when those 12 houses are finished, Daniel was talking about finishing the houses. When those 12 houses are finished, we have already cycled into a greater understanding, and we keep cycling higher and higher.
Yes, exactly.
Daniel said, so that would lead me to think that the stellar gases that are creating the stars and the planets and the moons and so on are done so by a certain intelligence. Yeah. With a purpose of creating more and more places to go to experience, to pass through and gain knowledge, many more changes and many more things. That intelligence is us, and the same way we created this chaotic mix and then dropped it into an organized, established civilization, we're doing it now for the next one.
Yes.
We're doing it for the next one right now. So all the dimensions aren't necessarily in the earth, but on other places in the universe, and that's true. As we progress and we create, it's very true. Talking about these things opens your mind limitless. Mm-hmm. It takes the cap off the oil field, and you're able to just let it flow everywhere.
You can see this. You'll look at wormholes differently. Take these concepts and then go into and explore what a wormhole is and how it operates based on what science is. And now take our spiritual understanding and apply it, and you'll see wormholes completely different.
Yes. And Brother Jamie writes, guys, Tori has been looking into these things for years and years. Other forms of life do exist. He has told me about it, not only dimensional, but also as we now exist in this physical. Our imaginations are a good example of their existence. And Brother Wesley's right. When I kept silent about a lot of these things because I thought, people would just think I'm literally crazy. He and I would sit and we would discuss a lot of this along with a couple of other brothers. But these things breaks out of your limitation. You stop thinking that I'm this little bitty nothing down here in this chaotic world, and how can I make a difference? You make a difference every time you sneeze, every time you blink an eye, every time your eyes open up on your bed in the morning and you look around and decide that you can get up. you are making a change in the universe. And that will be implemented in the vibration, and it will give strength to everybody to do the same thing across the earth every single day.
It's like that old adage where a butterfly bats his wings on one side of the planet and it rains on the other side. There's a connection there.
That's
somewhere.
right.
You
That's
might
right.
not see it, but there's a connection there.
So the thought and feeling, the core in the intelligence, is the core of all this in the intelligence, or is it an earthly function of expression? Is it in the intelligence, or is it an earthly function? And then he said, the body being the earth, Brother Daniel. I said, yes, in whatever form it is. It is a touching, it is a core part of our intelligence, and we develop that intelligence by connecting and touching to the earth. That's why I said connecting to all things brings about all of these things that's going on. The more you connect, the less your limitations and the greater vibration you send out to help change things. Jamie said, oh, movies, books, all this shows these things. I said, that's correct, Jamie. Everything we see, everything that we see came from a person's mind. Everything came from a person's mind. That's just amazing to me. So our concentrated thought, Brother Jamie said, Brother Daniel says, so our mind is a part of the intelligence, a part to be used for individual progression. That's true. Jamie said, our concentrated thought becomes reality. Many times, William said, people would lose their healing because their symptoms would return and they would start doubting those vibrations of healing in their minds about their healing, and the healing would dissipate. It would go away and they wouldn't have their healing. Whereas when they walked away, they were assured that they were healed.
Right.
I said, that is it, Jamie. When we choose to let go of what we caught, when you catch something by revelation, remember we read the rapture, it is a personal revelation. When you choose to let go of that personal revelation that breaks in you, and you look at something and you say, that's mine, and then you let something talk you out of it, whether it's circumstances of feeling, somebody's mouth, somebody against you, somebody saying that ain't it, that ain't the truth, don't you go there, don't you listen to that, whatever it is, when you let go of what was a part of you, when you let that go, you're in trouble. You devolve. Mm-hmm. You lose what you picked up. And so that's it. We choose to let go of what we caught and what we understood. And then devolving begins, and there's no end to that formation either. Whatever you choose, you'll become the wiser. Yes, sir. Because every frequency is Christ. Every single frequency. And you will, when you pass through that frequency of doubting and you devolve, you will become the wiser. You'll definitely become the wiser. But the issue is how much you could have been and how much you would have learned in a much shorter period of time by not taking that lower frequency. So we see these things. Daniel asked the question, can we make ourselves smarter or dumber by how we do these things? Evolve or devolve? And my answer back was not so much of either, smarter or dumber. That's not what it's about. But wiser. No matter the circumstance, when you pass through it, you're going to be wiser. If you pass through your lust, you're going to be wiser. If you pass through your iniquity, you're going to be wiser. If you choose not to go a certain route that had so much for you in it, you'll be the wiser. You cannot go through something without being wiser. But pay attention and make your choices. And if you make those choices to go certain paths, there's more talent, there's more understanding, there's more blessing on some paths than there are on others.
It'll take you longer to gain what you're trying to gain. You're taking the long way home. You'll eventually get there, but you have to go through a lot more to gain it.
Everything we develop, and I'm going to close here. I don't know what time it's getting to be, but I figure it's probably getting close to
9:35.
Yeah. Everything we develop through our 11 senses is a part of the intelligence of the collective body, and it just keeps expanding. It keeps growing. Our 11 senses of our body, our spirit, that it is our intelligence. We have to touch, see, taste, feel, and smear and hear. We have to have memory and conscience and reason and affection and imagination, all these things, and then faith, of course.
Yes.
All those 11 senses are actually the collective part of the body, pulling things in like mad. And the whole body gets the benefit of everything that you go through. When we can understand that, we begin to fill up and understand that we can do all things. What I personally can't do with this little piece of flesh of mine, it has been done in the collective body of the Lord. So I take what scriptures are mine individually and I apply them to me and I do them. And I take what I can't do and I say that's for the collective body. And I just say I've done it already. I call those things that are not as though they are, just like Abraham did. Although he didn't have a child, he called it as though he did. And it came to pass. And that's what I do. So we have all of these things happening. We have a great time right now of uncapping our limitations and opening our understanding. It's a great time. I said this. I still don't think that many understand that the tree of knowledge has played its role. And there is no division of purpose. There's only one purpose now. That's the tree of life. Whatever we want to call it, the tree of knowledge is over. We call it good and evil, right and wrong, tree of life, sin and righteousness, death and life. It is all the movement of the Spirit for our growth. It all is. One person said death and life are two different things. They are not the same. Their frequencies are totally different. I would agree with that 100% when you're talking about feeling it, the emotion of it. Death and life are not the same in frequency. But I answered back. They may be two different experiences, but they are one spirit accomplishing growth. Whether you're going through a low frequency or high, or whether your mind is traveling through both at the same time. Death and life. It can't happen, Brother Parnell. What happens every time a woman has a baby and she dies and the baby lives? What's that man going through? Death and life. And he is so sorrowful that his wife didn't come out of it, but he'll hug and love and hold, and that new life will nourish him and keep him. You go through many of these frequencies together all the time. I agree that they don't feel the same, I agree that they are two different experiences, but they are the same Spirit, accomplishing growth and can be happening at the same time, simultaneous
Yes.
with your life. But I believe that many don't understand. And they continue to talk about right and wrong, good and evil, righteousness and sin, on and on and on, all the time, instead of stepping into the tree of life and understanding that all of these frequencies, all of these things, it's all Christ. And we are in the all in all. And whatever should be dissolved will be dissolved by Christ, because we will deal with it in ourselves and take care of it. There isn't anything out there that's going to dissolve anything. Is intelligence important, or is it spirituality? I think they are one and the same. Intelligence and spirituality. Spirituality is developed intelligence. Like the mind. We went through that, the cycles. Theophany, carnal mind, spiritual mind. It's not two different minds. It's the same mind. And that mind started out as an intelligence, but it moves through its development and it becomes spiritual. So developed intelligence is spirituality. Developing the intelligence involves the spirit. Is that what you would say? I said, what do you think? Can I do anything else? No matter the path that is developed. If it lives to be 100 years old, somebody in a developed path, or if they live to be 6 months old, whether they travel through one path or the other, die as a baby, or go through 100 years, it is the wiser. Both of them are wiser. Both of them learn an enormous amount, and they come out of their paths a wiser person, a wiser, intelligent being. Prince or pauper, male or female, no matter the career, it is all expansion and growth by embodiment. As we embody ourselves, we grow. And I believe that we embody time and time and time again.
That last sentence encapsulates everything. That one last little sentence that you put in there encapsulates everything. It's all about what we do in the body. Everything.
Yes. It is
It's
all
not
about
outside the body. It's not somewhere else. It's all within the body. Because the body, you cannot separate. You can change, but you cannot separate the body from the spirit.
That's right.
You can't do it.
We've never separated from these elements. These elements have been us, eternal.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if it's in this earth, the theophany earth, pillar of fire earth, great rainbow earth, spoken word earth, humanity earth, or whatever the next earth is that we are already working on. Whatever it is, we'll never leave our body. It is our body. We can never die.
It's true.
I love this.
Good.
I know it's getting late. Loved it, enjoyed it. Thank you all for coming on. And I will see you Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Brother Daniel and I. Brother Alan may not be here. Some of the others may not, or they may. I don't think the quarantine lifts until Tuesday or something like that.
Something like that. Tuesday
So,
is when they're
probably
open.
this weekend there will be just a couple of us again. But it's okay. I enjoy it. Whether it's us or whether it's us. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Love bless you. And Alan's not here to sing us a song. So I will say this. Stand in this understanding. Let it grow in you. Think of your embodiments. Think of what all you've passed through. Think of the years. Think of the different things that you passed through just in this one humanity. And the growth that you can now put on yourself and all the information you can pull in about even those bad times, those bad years, those bad marriages, those whatever it might be, and all those good times, those great times, the years of glory, and just pull it all together and say it was all for the making of me and my very character and who I am. It's Christ himself. It is us. Pulling this understanding together, it is who we are. And by the authority, I call for those of us who are standing in this love one for another, that we be healed, that we gain an understanding, that we receive the financial needs that we need for this passage, that we receive all these things, that we step through everything that we come here needing. And I declare it in the name of Christ, in the authority that we stand in.
And I will add this one thing, just like the family said. Remain in your peace and patience. Don't look at all the things that's going on. Just remain in your peace and your patience.
Yes.
All is well.
Yes.
I like that.